Good day, good day, good day, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Chopping It Up with Ramel. Remember, no notes, straight from the throat. Well, let's get right to it. What a night in the NBA Association last night. First, I'm start off with my team, the Knicks. Listen, I know it was Brooklyn. I knew they was going to come out and play hard and win the game. Gave us a little bit of a scare in the first half. But we'll look back at this game. If they had lost, we'll say the Knicks is nothing. So they had to come out and win this game. Carmelo, I was a little nervous about him. He had one of them first halves that you don't want to remember. It was one to forget. I mean, he just couldn't shoot it in the river, but he got it going in the third quarter. He came out blazing, and it just was a tremendous win. Good effort by Carmelo, Porzingis, and Brandon Jennings. How about him? He came off the bench. He didn't score too much. I think he only had 3 points, but he had 11 assists. That's the kind of play that we need from Brandon Jennings. I'm not in favor of seeing him hoisting it up. I'm in favor of him coming out there and distributing that ball, being a leader from that second unit, and possibly trying to get his name in the hat of a Sixth Man of the Year. But not necessarily from having to do it from scoring. But I thought his play was instrumental, and it was just a quality win. Hopefully it's something that we can build off. We got Boston on Friday. I'm not sure if Horford, who's going to be there, or Crowder's going to be there, so that could be a game that we can snatch up. But what a win. It was good. The Garden had a buzz to it, and it was just a good win. Porzingis, he's getting better before our eyes. The guy is beginning to knock down that three with regularity. He's becoming to be a mismatch down in the paint and in the post. I think he just got to get stronger so that he doesn't get pushed out of the position he wants to be at. But still a quality win. Courtney Lee, again with double digits. This guy here is quietly filling a role that we need. I like to see his defense pick up a little bit. Maybe knock down a three a little bit, but his game is acceptable. I'm liking when I see Derrick Rose is still trying to get his legs together and fit in. I think that with all the noise about the triangle and what offense to run, he is a pick and roll type guy. I think Jeff is going to have to push Phil to the side and just come up with schemes that's going to be conducive to this team, to the way they play. The days of coaching and having the players play to the coach's style, that's over. It's beyond us now. I mean, you have to coach to the player's style. And that's why, when you talk about some of the great coaches, that's why I like Pat Riley, as one of the better coaches, because he had the Showtime Lakers, and then he went to New York with the Knicks, and he had the bad boys of Detroit and the Knicks. Two different styles. He had success with both. Unfortunately, he never secured the chip with New York, but he did take them there, and he kept them relevant and competitive throughout his tenure. I mean, in fact, some of the better Knick days of my life. I'm being honest. As a Knick fan, those days were some days where I just, I get in front of the TV, I got my goodie bag. Next morning, my throat is sore. It was just good time. But getting back to the current day Knicks, Derrick Rose, we have to run this offense that's going to be conducive to him. I mean, he is the engine to this car. And if he is stalling or not starting, that car is not going to go far. And that's the same thing with this New York team. So we got to derive a offense that's going to fit his style. And believe me, once we do that, everybody else is going to fall in place. And no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. I've been critical and hard on the Knicks. I have to realize that not only do they have 3 new starters in the starting lineup, but they also have 5 rookies coming off the bench. And, thinking about that, Phil, why would you even assemble a team such as that? I mean, think about that for a second. I know we got to make some changes, some makeovers, but 5 rookies on the bench, that's pretty frightening, And speaking of rookies, Hernan Gomez, there was a sighting. The guy came on and actually played a little bit of ball. This is a guy, every time I see him on the court, he looks scared to death. And the sad thing about it is, he's got a little bit of ability. He's not a bad player. I mean, he is a role player, but man, he just looks scared to death half the time he's out there. But kudos to the Knicks getting a win. I'm not going to say it's a much-needed win, but it's definitely a win they have to have. As I said in a previous show, with 8 games against Brooklyn and currently the winless Philadelphia 76ers, who lost the overtime game to Indiana last night, and over the weekend a 1-point game to the defending champs in Cleveland Cavs. We're going to face them 4 times apiece. That's 8 games. We have to come up at minimum 7-1. So a game like last night, no Jeremy Lin, we had to have that game. We have to have that game. So let's look down to Friday. Should be a good game. Going around association, Golden State, who yesterday, if you recall, I thought that the ESPN had got it wrong with the rankings between them and San Antonio, because San Antonio knocked them off on opening night with an impressive win in Golden State. But it looks like Golden State has found their winning ways. It looks like that they're ready to take a leap and be that team that everybody visioned and imagined. Last night, they pulled off an exciting win against Dallas at home as Harrison Barnes, kudos to him. He came to Oakland Oracle like it was his home, put up 25 points. Sorry it wasn't enough, but 3-pointers was everywhere. Klay Thompson, he had 20. Curry, he had 20, 24. And again, Kevin Durant led him, I believe, with 26 or 28 points. This might be the first team that we see since the Run TMC era. I think I said that right. Run TMC era that Golden State once had that had 20-point scorers in their starting lineup. Looks like this Golden State is going to duplicate that this year. They're going to have 20-plus 20-point scorers in their lineup with Klay Thompson, Durant, and Curry, going back to the old Golden State Warriors when you had Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullin. Wow. They used to run. Never was a championship team. I believe they was led by Don Nelson. But imagine Don Nelson playing today, coaching today rather. It would be something to see. Hey, got a caller. Good day. There's a caller on the line. Who's calling?
Hey, this is London calling in from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hey, what's happening, London?
Cleveland, though. What's going on?
I'm doing good. Did you mention Cleveland?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Cleveland in the building, born and raised. Got to represent for the hometown.
I'm going to show you some love for calling up, but Cleveland, I guess we got a LeBron question on the line, I guess. How you doing?
Well, I'm going to hold the LeBron question for the day. But I do got one question.
Okay.
Does the Browns get a win this season? And if so, when does that happen?
Wow, that's a good question. I was going to talk with that next as I finished up with the NBA, but I'm glad you called. I'm on record with some friends around the job this week. I believe Cleveland Browns get a win tonight against the Baltimore Ravens. I really do. Yeah, I really do, and I appreciate that question. And the reason why I think that, it's a short week. Teams don't usually they're usually not prepared. They don't play their best ball. And I just think that this is a game that Baltimore's going to overlook the Browns. The Browns is just going to go out there, have some fun, and I think they come away with a win today. It's probably going to be an awful game with lots of turnovers, penalties, but I do think the Browns get a win today. Score somewhere around 17-13 Browns.
Okay.
I tell you what, I'm very impressed with Terrell Pryor making the transition from quarterback to wide receiver. Unfortunately, you don't have a quality quarterback to get him the ball, but if he did, yeah, he would be one of the better wide receivers of today's game. I mean, he's made the transition smooth. Your thoughts on that?
I definitely agree with you, man. But at some point, man, we gotta start getting this on the roll, man. We can't be having these losing seasons, season after season after season.
Yeah,
somebody got to step up.
It could be frustrating, and I understand that. I mean, if you follow the show, I'm a Knicks fan. I'm a Jet fan. They don't win too often either. So I do understand a frustration from being a fan. And remember, fan is short for fanatic. But I appreciate the call and appreciate the question. Do you have anything else for us?
Thank you, man. That's my one question, man. I hope we can put it together tonight and put Baltimore out.
Okay, you heard it here first. Cleveland will get the win, and Baltimore will take an L tonight. Hey, appreciate the call. Keep tuning in. Hopefully we talk down the line.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. And there you have it, folks. London from Atlanta by way of Cleveland calling up, wondering if his Browns is going to win a game this year, and if so, when. Well, I do think they get the win. But before I speak on that, I want to finish touching up on that Golden State that I was talking about, where Golden State, like I say, we might see resemblance of the Run TMC era. I do think this Golden State Warriors will put up a lot of points and have 20-plus point scorers this season. Now, the team that I thought should have been ahead of Golden State is the San Antonio Spurs. I know it's early in the season. They pretty much bringing back the same team. I know Pop tries to be innovative and insert these people, insert this player, and try to grow this player. Sometimes he rests his players, but he still gets maximum effort from all his players. Something is not right there. I'm not sure what it is. Can we just blame it on the early? It's early in the season. They're 4-3. They've already lost 3 home games this year. I think that's something that they didn't do all last year. And if so, they lost their third one very late into the season. I'm not sure what's going on, but if there's a team you don't worry about too much, you know at the end they'll be there. Pop always has his guys prepared and so forth. But I don't know. Something just doesn't sit right there for me. I don't know. It's something to keep an eye on. But again, I do think they'll be all right. All right. Now, right here in my backyard in Atlanta, the Atlanta Hawks continue to impress me. This is a team that I did not have in the playoffs. I thought it would open up a spot for New York or Chicago, but they continue to impress me where they just secure back-to-back wins. A road game against Cleveland, they came home, beat Chicago. I know Chicago is not there yet, kind of resemblance of the Knicks, where in a sense they've had some new players and they need time to gel and create chemistry. But on most nights, when you're playing Chicago, they may have the best player on the court in D. Wade. And again, I think last night they had the best player on the court in D. Wade. And they might have the best 2 players on the court on some nights, if not at least 2 of the best 3 players on the court, if you include Jimmy Butler into that conversation. You know, between him, Jimmy Butler, and D. Wade, they had over 60 points last night. But can that continue for this team? That's something to keep an eye on. But with a balanced attack coming from Atlanta Hawks, like I said, they secured their win. Look like Dwight Howard has a pep in his step. He's look like he's relaxed. He's at home. He's playing well, and more importantly, he's playing in a way that the Hawks need him. You know, he doesn't need to be a primary scorer or anything like that. But from a rebounding standpoint, altering shots, and just making a few shots when they need him, he's really filling the bill. And keep in mind, I said this once before, it didn't work in L.A. with Paul Gasol, but Millsap might be the best power forward that Dwight Howard plays with in his career. And it's a nice little combination because Paul Millsap will not interfere where Dwight Howard needs to be because he's kind of an outside kind of power forward. So it's a nice little blend. I just think that the Atlanta Hawks' concern is going to be on the perimeter with Schroeder, Bazemore, and Corver. I think that's where it is. They could use a backup point guard, I believe, but we'll see what happens. They got an excellent coach over there, Coach Bud, so they're doing well. But that's something to keep an eye on. But again, New York plays Friday night against Boston. I'm looking forward to that. Now we're going to shift gears to the NFL. As the caller called up London from Atlanta by way of Cleveland, he mentioned when will Cleveland Browns get their first win of the season? I say tonight, guys. I really think they pull off a somewhat of an upset against Baltimore Ravens. I don't really want to call it an upset because the Baltimore Ravens is not really a great team this year. They're just in the middle of the pack type team. But I believe they are in first place. But I do think Cleveland secures a win tonight. That's just how Thursday goes, man. One team is unprepared and one team comes out and wins. It's usually sloppy football, a lot of penalties. I think this is an excellent opportunity for Cleveland to steal a win. Look for that to happen. A lot of big games this weekend. Playoff implications as the season enters the second half of the season. Huge big games. We're going to start off with my Eagles. They're going to be hosting Atlanta Falcons in Philadelphia this week. Atlanta is just looking to continue their winning ways as they trying to make a statement that they're one of the better teams in the NFL, top 5 team at that, perhaps a strong contender to go to the Super Bowl. They're going to try to keep that rolling along by trying to go down into Philly and secure a win. But quite frankly, Philly, their backs is up against the wall. They're in last place in their division. Their only hope right now is for a wild card. Last week was the eliminator game for me, but with nobody running away with the wild card and with the 2 teams right now that has a wild card seated is in their division, the Giants and Washington, the Eagles still can make a run at this, but it's got to start right now. They have to win this game. It's a home game. I know the Falcons is a high-flying attack, but this is a game they got to have. It really is a must-win game. So they need to come with the wood and put it on that Falcons offense and shut them down and limit Matt Ryan, who's having an MVP season. And once again, Carson Wentz, if you want to show that you belong in this league and you're part of this Rookie of the Year race, you got to come out there and hold home field to this weekend and get a win. Looking around the league, man, what better Sunday afternoon game at 4:25 than the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers? This 2 teams have rivalry history. They've been in the Super Bowl facing one another multiple times. I believe Dallas has only won 1. If memory serves me correct, Pittsburgh has beat them 2, possibly even 3 times. This here is going to be a good game. You know that the Steelers will always have defense, and we're going to see what Dak and Elliott can do against a Mike Tomlin defensive team. This should be fun. It should be exciting. This is the one that you get your goodies for and get around the television and sit down and watch. Should be exciting. Should be a great game. I look for Cowboys to upset Pittsburgh at home, go in there and get a win. No doubt in my mind, I think it'll be a tight game, but I do think Dallas pulls out the win. And I'm going to tell you something, and I think this is sad to report. It's a must-win for Dak Prescott. It really is. As Tony Romo gets closer and closer to returning, I think Jerry Jones is looking for one reason to remove Dak and insert Tony Romo in that lineup. Dak, you go out there and you beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, this could secure you for the whole year. I mean, this is a must-win for you. If you lose, I can see Tony Romo being inserted the following week. So, Dak, this is a must-win game for you. Okay? New England, Seattle, repeat of a Super Bowl. We know how that ended. Seattle should have won that game. Pete Carroll, the bonehead play, chose not to go after, hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch, I should say. So, look for a good game there. You got Washington and Minnesota. That's going to be another good game. I think it's a must-win for both of those teams. As Washington has playoff implications, I believe that's going to be a must-win. And Minnesota has to get back into the good graces. After starting off at 5-0, losing their last 3, Detroit on their tails for that division. It's a must-win for both of them. And then you got the Giants and the Bengals on Monday Night Football. What more can you ask for? What more? Oh, stand by, another caller. Good day. Call on the line. Who's speaking?
Hey, Troy, this is Daniel.
Daniel, what's going on? How you doing? I remember you from last week.
I'm doing good. I wanted to talk briefly about the Knicks.
Oh, my topic. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
All right. Okay. I'm glad they got the win.
Yeah, me too.
As an identity, who the heck are they? What kind of Knicks are they?
You know
what I'm saying? I'm looking at some stats here. Okay, I got Kristaps Porzingis, 7 of 15 shooting, which is fantastic. But he also threw up 8 3-pointers. This is your center playing, shooting up 8. Okay? And then you have Carmelo Anthony, who's supposed to be your leading scorer, got to the line twice.
Yeah.
That's the way that we're going to win games. I don't see this happening, from...
You know something, Daniel, and I appreciate the call. You touched on a few things that I've been speaking on all along throughout my shows. First, I want to address the identity. Right now, the Knicks don't have an identity because you got Phil Jackson meddling in the practices with Jeff Hornacek. Every time you turn the page on a newspaper or go to a website pertaining to the Knicks, he's always trying to shove this triangle down the player's throat. And I don't think Jeff Hornacek quite wants to do that. All right? Then you always got Melo that can always result back to ISO Melo whenever it seems like there's no movement or anything going on. Jeff Hornacek wants to institute a little bit of pace and space or space and pace. And when you do that, it opens up the perimeter, and then you'll see Porzingis stepping out to shoot the 3. And quite frankly, Porzingis is one of the better 3-point shooters on the Knicks staff. And when he shoots it, I prefer him than anybody else other than maybe Melo. I think him and Melo are the best 3-point shooters we have. In fact, I think we need to find a 3-point shooter to come off the bench. So, yes, I see what you're saying. And then, Carmelo, I mentioned this a couple of shows ago. Maybe you got wind of it. Is there any superstar or star in this league that does not get foul calls like Melo? I mean, Melo is like Cam Newton of the NBA. He just doesn't get calls. I mean, I've seen his headband get knocked off, and there's no foul. I mean, and like he said, maybe because he doesn't flop, maybe because he's strong, it doesn't look like he gets hit. But he's getting beat up all the time, and they barely call any fouls on him. I'm glad you brought that up because it's not just me who's noticing that.
Yeah. I mean, getting to the line only twice yesterday, they won. But again, that's not how I want to see my star player get his points. I want to see him running at the line.
I understand.
Another thing with Porzingis, with him shooting, as many threes, I know you have some confidence in his 3-point shooting ability, but that also takes away from the offensive rebounding game, which is huge in the NBA. And I think Porzingis only grabbed 1 offensive rebound, and I think a lot of it has to do with him being out on the perimeter rather than bumping bodies and trying to get that loose ball. Well,
you make a great point there, Daniel. You mentioned Porzingis as a starting center. Actually, he plays power forward, and Noah plays the starting center. But there's a lot of times when he is the center out there when Noah is sitting down, and he will be out of position for offensive rebounds. You're absolutely right. But when Noah's in the game, that's his work. So I can see him popping out for that. But if he is the center, you do want to see him with his back to the basket or in better position so that he can contend for or compete for a rebound. Hey, Daniel, great call. Keep tuning in. Keep listening. Keep watching. I appreciate the love. Call again.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks. And there you have it. First time on the show. 2 callers in one day. Beautiful. Beautiful. I guess the show is growing. There's listeners. There's viewers. Please by all means, continue to call up. But as I was saying, there's going to be big games in the Shield this weekend. We talked about Cowboys, Steelers. We talked about the Giants, we talked about Washington and Minnesota. Minnesota looking to get into Grayson. And then now I was going to allude to the Giants and the Bengals on Monday night. Many pundits had the Bengals as a Super Bowl team. I'm on record saying, how are they ranked number 8 and they're not even 500? That's favoritism. That's just love for them. But they need a win in the worst way. But the Giants need one too. I look for the Giants to try to hold home field at MetLife on Monday night. Should be a good game. Eli Manning and Odell, they're finding their way. So it should be a great game. I look for the Giants to pull off that win on Monday night. But some exciting football coming up, starting tonight in the NFL with Cleveland. So I'm going to wrap up the show. I want to give a special thanks to London from Atlanta and Daniel for calling up as well. Until tomorrow, see you in 24 hours. This is Chopping It Up with Ramel. Remember, no notes, straight from the throat. Peace and blessings.